I mean, some movies, explosions, like Michael Bay, right? Big explosions everywhere, and, that's not in the book. But it could be. That's where you can practice. If you read a story and you picture, this is what he says, what would that look like, right? Use it. But when you're doing this, you don't want to do other things. When you're listening, there is something else you could be doing. Right? Because this is for fun, right? But if what I'm reading is to learn something, then I'm reading, maybe I should write down important ideas, right? If I'm learning from a book, then I should probably, either I highlight them or I write things down, yeah? So what about when you're listening?
Also making notes.
Right? This is one of the things that students today have mostly lost, right? 10 years ago, in a class like this, I would still have students writing, right? 30 years ago, everybody would be writing. How many of you brought a pen to class today?
Well, I have a phone.
Exactly. How many of you brought a pen and paper to write on? So, you see, it's also about habit there. When you have something you want to remember, well, memory is also something that has to be practiced. When you have something you want to remember, do you remember it, or does your phone remember it? Right? You see, that's one of the nice things about this. It's too much trouble to write it in here, so I just write stuff down in here. Right? If I want to remember things, either I go over them again in my head, or I write them down to help me, right? This is actually really helpful for focus, because the stuff I write down in here, that's what I think about in the shower. If I come to words that I just can't remember, or I don't know where the word is from, then that's what's in my head. And so I focus on that word. It's a problem. It's something I want to figure out. It's like a knot. When you have, I don't have a rope I can demonstrate yet. You have something like this, right? It used to be a puzzle for children that they would use. They would just make like knots, right? And it's just a matter of like paying attention to the knot and trying to figure it out and undo the knot, right? No, it's just a puzzle. It's a kind of a game where you try to find the part that's loose and you kind of pull it until it is done, right? It's a kind of practice. You can do it with something physical, or you can do it with something in here. You have a problem, you try to untangle it. The more time you can spend on that, the more you develop your focus, right? How's that? One more really, really important way to build focus, and also build your language skill. Games. What kind of games?
I think watching movies is also important.
Yeah, not so much for focus, and movies today don't build focus.
Still, some movies. Like
Some art movies.
Yeah. I don't say art movie. Right? I just saw a movie yesterday that is called No Man's Land.
Okay.
This is a story about a woman that she used to have a job, but with her husband, but her husband died and the job finished. The whole time people has been fired out because they don't have money. So she have a van and she drive all over the American USA and just go travel around and try to find her life's meaning, things like that.
Okay.
It's very, very touching and make people think.
Okay.
It's very nice.
Movies like that can help, but one of the problems with entertainment today, with movies, is that it doesn't usually let you choose how to feel because the music tells you what to feel, right? You don't have to imagine it for yourself because they show you on the screen, right? There are not a lot of movies today where you actually have to stop and think and try to understand. There are some, right? But pretty much anything from Hollywood, it's fun. It's fun. But it doesn't really build your focus. So there are some things you can do like that. But games. Games are important. No, that's not what you said? What did you say?
Writing.
Writing, okay. Okay. Well, we'll come back to this one. Games are important, but not games with flashing lights and bright colors. How many of you can play chess? Chess or Chinese chess, right? Right? That is a great game for building focus. It's also fun. You can spend time with a friend. Not everybody likes the same games. That's okay. Not everybody likes the same books. Okay? But if you can find something that's not bright colors and flashing lights and loud sounds, right, that you can focus on, pay attention to for a long time, even if it's a game, that can be a good thing. What about puzzles? You guys like Sudoku? You know, where you have like the 9 boxes of Sudoku, yeah. There's like all of these, you know how in each one you have to have the numbers 1 through 9, right? Yeah. It's not a math game, right? You don't have to be good at math or science. You can do the same activity with symbols or with letters, right? It's about focus and paying attention and looking for patterns. And those are all skills that can help your language as well. So, if you want to build your listening skills, there are a lot of things you can do to help. This is really one of the top reasons why people can't listen. 有问题，真的它是一个最大的问题. Right? So, apart from that, what makes listening easier? What kinds of things can you do to make it easier for you to listen and understand? Okay, subtitles. If you want to practice, honestly, Netflix is great for this kind of thing. Or but anything that has subtitles. So, it's not a very intense form of practice or focus, but it can help. And if you can enjoy it, then you can do it more. So that's a good thing. Okay? What else can you do? No, absolutely not. Google Translate is, it's one of the things that hurts your language skill and your focus because they often mistranslate, but you trust them, right? Everybody trusts Google, but Google is like Microsoft, right? It's a tool that you should use when it helps, and when it doesn't, you need to tell it where to go. See, this is why I want you in the front, so that it's easier for you to stay awake. Alright? So, there are a lot of ways we can build our listening. There are a lot of things we can do to help us. But if you're listening to somebody and you need right now to understand, well, 你听不懂要做什么? Have to ask, right? 一个是问. Right? Another thing, if listening is something where you don't even know where to start, teacher's talking and all you hear is wah, 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 right?